Okay, next question, question 5. 3 plus 2i is the root of the equation. That, find the value of p, find the value of q. Okay, load of different ways you could do this question, to be honest about it. Load of different ways. It's just a matter about trying to pick out the best one that's suitable for you, the one that you're most happy with. Okay, I'm going to mention two here now. First of all, okay, because it says it's a root, that means z is equal to that. Okay, if z is equal to that, you can sub it in and solve. When it says solve, okay, that means replace your z everywhere you've got a z, you're putting in 3 plus 2i. And eventually, go as far as you can. And when you go as far as you can, you're going to let the reals equal to the reals, the imaginaries equal to the imaginaries. From that, you work out your value of p, your value of q. Okay, that's option 1. Option 2 is to know in that formula, x squared minus, open a bracket, sum of the roots times x plus the product is equal to 0. To form any quadratic equation, that's what your formula is based on. X squared minus, open bracket, sum of the roots, close your bracket, times z, plus the product is equal to 0. And you have to be smart enough to say, right, I'm looking across there. Automatically 3 plus 2i is one root, then the second root has to be 3 minus 2i. Why? Because there's no i's in this. If there was an I in this, then you couldn't say that the conjugate complex would not be the second root if there was i's in there. Now, there's two options for you. Whichever one you want to use yourself, it doesn't make any difference. I'm going to go with this one to remind you or recap you. Z squared minus the sum of roots times z plus the product. Okay? Make sure you understand product means multiply, sum of the roots obviously means add. So, z squared is fine. Minus, open a bracket, the sum of the roots. So sum means 3 plus 2i plus the second root, sum of the roots, 3 minus 2i times z plus the product. 3 plus 2i by 3 minus 2i. Okay? Now, this is what I'm worried about. This is what I'm equating light with like. The z squared matches up to the z squared. Don't need to worry about this. The plus pz will be equal to this. So I'm going to take these two parts together first and foremost. Pz will be equal to minus, open your bracket, 3 and 3 is 6, and then 2i minus 2i is obviously just going to give you a 0. Them two boys are going to cancel. So minus, and then the 3 and the 3 is 6, 2i minus 2i, obviously them two boys cancel. Right, last part, the z and the z will cancel off, p is equal to minus 6. That's your first job done. Second part, okay, this product you need to multiply out these two things. Take your time, let's go and do it. So if you want to do it out the long way, 3 bracket 3 minus 2i, plus 2i bracket 3 minus 2i. I would advise you do this out the long way because just to recap yourself, 9 minus 6i plus 6i, and then this is the important part. Plus by minus is a minus, 2 by 2 is 4, I by I is I squared. At the top of the question, on the day you're leaving cert, it will say I squared is minus 1. So what happens in the next line is that just cancels off. If you want to cancel off the whole one, I squared is minus 1. Minus 1 by minus 4. Cancel off the whole lot and put in a plus 4 if you want. Them two wee boys cancel off. Plus 6i minus 6i. Well, you're smart enough to say them to cancel off. 9 and 4 is 13. Okay. What does that match up to? So plus the product is q. Okay, so plus this, q is equal to 13. If you didn't like that method, you could of course gone down the other method. Sub in 3 plus 2i in bracket squared plus p bracket 3 plus 2i plus q. Go as far as you can, multiply out your brackets, and then let the real equal to the real, imaginary equal to imaginary, option 2. Okay, B part 1. Okay, V is that. Okay, write it in the form of that. So what they want you to do here is a thing called polar form, and that shouldn't be too bad. Before we do polar form, quick picture. Okay, quick picture is the most important thing. Going out as far as 2, down as far as 2 root 3i. Out as far as 2, down. If you're worried about how far do you go down, you don't worry at all. That's not the problem. Okay, don't be worrying about that. Alright, that's the most important thing. That's your 2 minus 2 root 3i. Okay, why did I do that? Make sure you know 180 minus the angle, 180 plus the angle, and this down here is 360 minus the angle. Okay, so a couple of things you have to do in order to work out polar form. First thing you have to do is your thing called the modulus. Awful simple and you know how. Square root of the real part squared plus my imaginary part squared. Okay, tidy that up. That's 2 in bracket squared plus 2 root 3 in bracket squared. No i's. Don't bother putting in any minuses. It will only won't affect it. 4. Square the 2, square the root 3. So that's going to give you 3 by 4 plus 12. And obviously that's going to give you root 16, and that's just to be 4. Second thing I need to do is work out my angle. In order to work out my angle, or another word, sometimes you'll see in the exam papers they call that argument. Angular argument. Tan of what over what. It's always the j, no, I nearly said it, the j component. That'll be the applied maths code. Be the imaginary over the real. Always going to be the imaginary over the real. Do you put in minuses? No, absolutely not. Tan to the minus 1 of 2 root 3 over 2. And I think, as far as I know, make sure your calculator is in radians mode, or sorry, not in radians mode, he's back in degrees mode. Shift calculator, and I'm pretty sure that's going to give you 60 degrees. But to just check, make sure tan to the minus 1 of 2, fraction button, 2 root 3 over 2. And yeah, that's 60 degrees. Right, give the two important parts done. Polar form, make sure you know how to work it out. Modulus, so it's or, I suppose write down the formula, cos theta plus I sine theta. Alright, that's going to give you 4, open your bracket, cos. Because you're talking about this side of the board right here, 360 minus your reference angle, this is your reference angle 60, 300, better write it out here for everyone to make sure they're happy with it, is equal to 300. Okay, so 4 cos 300 plus I sine 300. The good news is you can always check and see if you're right. If you type in 4 cos 300 in your calculator, you get 2. You type in 4 sine 300, hopefully you get the minus 2 root 3, and you do. That's your job done. 10 marks in the bag. Okay. Last part of that then. Use your answer in B part 1 to find 2 possible values for which W is equal to V. Give your answer in the form of that. Okay. So, use your answer to find 2 possible values of W. They want you to work out W. Now, on the other previous side of the page, this is clearly V. And V in polar form looks like that we followed there. So, at the moment I'm going to write down W squared is equal to 4, open bracket, cos 300 plus I sine 300. Now, this here is called de Moivre's theorem. You've got to know de Moivre's theorem does 2 things for you. He solves and he raises to a power. Okay, now on the next line to work out W on its own, you say take the square root. Another way of calling that the square root is the power of a half. Cos 300 plus I sine 300. Open your bracket. Big massive set of brackets. It's all to the power of a half. Okay? Square root, power of a half. If that was a cubed, power of a third. The only won't go any higher than a cube, but if it was power of 4, this would be the power of a quarter. Now, 2 things you have to know how to do with that. That gives you 4 to the power of a half. That's the first thing. Your modulus is raised to the power of a half. And it's half of your angle plus rotation. So it's 4 to the power of a half. Cos a half of 300 plus 360 in. Close my bracket. Same over here. I sine a half first. 300 plus 360 in. Now, why do you have to do that? Because we're solving and we want to find all possible angles. Or sorry, all possible places where it's going to be the case. Now, for the next thing, tidy this up and then we'll put in n equals 0 and n equals 1. Tidy it up first. 4 to the power of a half, that's just going to give you 2. Open a bracket. Cos. Half of 300 is 150 plus 180 in. Close a bracket. I sine. Open your bracket. 150 plus 180 in. N equals 0. That's your first answer. N equals 1. Second answer. Job will be done then as soon as you can. Get this done. That's 2. Open a bracket. Cos. If I add 150 plus 180 times 0, so that's just cos 150 plus I sine 150. Lovely. Second one, n equals 0. 2, open a bracket, cos 150, 180. 180 times 1 is 180 plus 150. That's going to bring you up to 330. And plus I sine 330. Okay, good. Almost home on the right. How do you get yourself home on the right? Okay, all you need to do is type that in your calculator. What do you mean type it in your calculator? 2 cos 150. How do you know you have to do that? It says here, give your answer in the form of a plus ib. So that's called not polar form, okay, that's called rectangular form. Okay? 2 cos 150, that's minus root 3. And the second part of that, 2 sine 150, 2 sine 150, closing bracket, that's equal to 1 plus 1i. Okay, do the same again, 2 cos 330, and that's going to give you root 3. And the second part, 2 sine 330, and that's going to give you minus 1i. And that's your job now. No more to it than that.